Welcome to City Talk. It's About Town Deb, Debbie McCarthy at Dream Pilot Films with Kim Surratt, my amazing friend, sponsor, law attorney, mom, best friend to so many women, and
your friend.
My friend. So happy she's here. Show 19, you were here for show 1.
Yep.
We've been many other shows together. I am so happy you're here. And November is adoption month, correct?
Correct. Already,
and,
again.
How does the time just goes, the year just
We
goes.
just did an adoption show, I felt like.
And we're doing it again,
yeah.
and it's crazy. But if I'm going to have anybody talk about adoption, it's going to be you. Anybody talking about adoption with me is going to be you. You have gone through so much to get to where you are with your own business and your law firm, and you've helped so many families come together. And that's a big deal.
Oh,
it's a big deal, but I want you to say a little bit about how you feel. Tell us first of all, what exactly is your firm? I always say adoption, but you do more than family law.
No, we do. We're diverse at this point. We started as only family law. It's Surratt law practice.
Right.
We started as just family law, and of course, when you talk to the general public, they're like, I don't know what that means. What does family law mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's a really gigantic term. It really means a lot of things. In the beginning, it was divorce, it was custody, it was guardianships, child support, everything nasty you could probably, add behind those terms. But it was always adoption for me. Parentage was always a part of it. And when I opened my firm in 2007, within a year, I told my paralegal, I said, I'm going to have personally a book of business that's nothing but parentage law. And we did it. I've done it. That's exactly what I'm doing. But my firm is still doing all of the family law, every topic, and estate planning. And mine is more than adoption work at this point. I do reproductive law. So the surrogacies are a huge part of it.
That's a big deal. And I think a lot of you out there, you think adoption and you think of creating families. You just think of the one way, a husband and a wife or adoption. There's many other ways we can create a family.
Yeah, I think society's figured that out somewhat. You still get a lot of people go, oh, wow, you can do just that and survive. And there's that much. But we start all families with, do you want to have children? Do you want to be parents? And then there is more than one path. And sometimes surrogacy is the right path for some, and for others, adoption was always their path or is the right path for them.
Totally agree with that. We're going to go back to the beginning real quick. When Kim's here, I just want to talk about Kim.
Just go.
I just want to go. But I do want to say, when Kim showed up on set, we were kind of matching. I did not plan this. And she's got these stylish shoes on. I didn't know Kim was I knew she was stylish, but.
She just went, Kim the boring lawyer.
No, she's not a boring lawyer. But we don't have necklaces on. I'm just saying. But I mentioned that because we both love Blythe and we both love labels. And so Blythe we're trying to mix and match. So if you watched last week, I had the same dress and the same boots, but we switched this little vest. So I have a Crew Arquette dress, which is what I had last time. Now I have a Vince fringe shawl, and the boots are Bar 3 boots, and I have Alexis earrings. So I'm just saying that you can wear one dress, one simple black dress, and a black top and black pants. You can change your vest or your top part, and you have a whole new outfit. So I was really excited, and I'm trying to get into these new boots. I'm thinking that I might have to purchase these. I think I like them.
I have a thing for the rose gold.
Isn't that cool?
To me, it looks like copper in the cowgirl, and I just.
Oh, there's the cowgirl part. Yes,
I know.
And of course, we both love Trace, as you can see. I'm wearing the same hairstyle twice because we can do that. So we've got the braid in the back, and then of course soak nails. I'm trying to get out of my boring clear because I bite my nails.
She just looked at mine. For the first time in years, probably decade or two, I have nothing on my nails. I'm trying to give them a break.
That's good though. Actually, that's a good thing. When the pandemic hit, I did the same thing. I peeled them off and I let them go, and they really needed that.
I continued to do mine during the pandemic, not professionally.
Right.
Kim style.
Kim's
very good. But they needed a break.
I'm just really happy you're here. So I'm going to do a quote, and then we come back. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into adoption and surrogacy and all that kind of stuff. And I know if you're out there and you've thought about you trying to get pregnant, you have infertility issues, and I've gone through that, and you think, is it ever going to happen? And then everybody says, adopt and you'll get pregnant. Well, yeah, it does happen like that. It did with me, but there's many people it doesn't happen like that. And there's many, I guess, alternatives and many different ways a family will be formed. And no matter how it's formed, it's still family. And that's why, Kim has done lots of legislative work. She's done a ton. So she's the one to speak to right now to know a little bit more about that. So my quote before we go to break is, adopting one child won't change the world, but for that child, the world will change. Unknown. My world changed thanks to Grandma B, my birth mom, my mom, for finding the perfect home. So if you're out there and you're a birth mom and you're a young mom and you're thinking, I'm just not ready. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have a job. I don't know how I'm going to support this child. I don't have any family to help me. What am I going to do? I want this child to have a life. And that's what Grandma B did. And we luckily found Terry and Tony, who found us, and we formed a family. So today's show is dedicated to my mom, Grandma B, and to Nana and Pop, who are up there watching over. We'll be right back. It's About Town Deb, Kim Surratt. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's About Town Deb, Debbie McCarthy with City Talk, with my bestie, Kim Surratt, Family Law here. Oh, just get ready, guys. We're keeping it real.
Yep.
This is normally we have a co-host. This is one-on-one, friend on friend. We just want you to know that you're not alone. So I had mentioned adoption was a part of my journey. There's many other journeys and many other ways to complete that amazing family. Kim, share with us other options and what other people are thinking about.
Well, adoption, so obviously people will start with, if it's infertility, if that's the issue, they're starting with fertility clinics. And the journey of individuals with fertility problems it's extreme, it's long, it's emotional. I couldn't even possibly cover it in the show, go through what that means. But if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, is adoption right for me? Or is maybe surrogacy right for me? I get people asking all the time, what's the difference? What do I do? What's the right path for me? They're dramatically different paths. The thing about surrogacy that appeals to a lot of people is that you potentially could be genetically related to your child. You may need an egg donor, you may need a sperm donor, you may accept an embryo donation. So not necessarily, but for some people that's enough. That's what drives them into surrogacy versus adoption, where you're not going to have that genetic tie. You might have a family tie. There may be genetics. Don't get me wrong. You might adopt your niece or something. But if that's what's driving you is the genetic link to your child, you may want to look at surrogacy. Surrogacy is expensive. It's very expensive. And we are looking at a lot of mechanisms to make that cheaper. Adoption, on the other hand, if genetics aren't the key element for you, which really I would encourage you to really think about why genetics are important to you. Why is that so key to you?
Well, share a little bit about that.
Well,
you talk to many.
I do. Families. I talk to a lot of families, so, and we really delve into why is that? Why do you think that's important to you? Because we do have mental health professionals that can help with this issue. If it's so dire to you, it maybe it's you're the last one in your family to carry on the family name. You have no nieces, no nephews, no one else had children. Maybe that's important to you. But we'd encourage you to remember genetics is not everything. You will still have a child. Your child will still be yours. Your child will still carry on your name. The genes in your blood don't really mean a whole lot, quite honestly. They might dictate color of your hair. They might dictate color of your eyes. But it is not impossible to have the same family heritage by adopting or having an embryo donation that you're not genetically related to. So, big part of it is think about money, think about time, because there is a big time difference between the two.
So what's the difference between time?
So with surrogacy, your time link is all based on finding a surrogate that will carry for you, and then a 9-month surrogacy. So the fertility treatments and then the 9 months of pregnancy.
And is it going to work, right? It may take
the transfer might not work. You might need
take
a second transfer, correct. So there is significant time involved. But it's a controlled amount of time, and you don't always match right away with a surrogate. But in the adoption arena, there are people that go for years trying to find a child to adopt. If you are looking to adopt an infant, you're going to be waiting longer than somebody willing to adopt a child that's slightly older.
I agree.
If you want a private adoption, like I said, the infant adoption, private adoption, you want a perfect bill of health on the birth mother, you might not get it for a long time.
So speaking of the private, I actually adopted my oldest son, Josh, as well as I was adopted. But we had to make a choice. Is it an opened or closed? And back when I and my husband at the time were looking into it, it was done, this is crazy, you will not believe it. We had a notebook. I'm not like a notebook, a file folder. And we went like this. And we had a photo and we had a description. The birth mom had a notebook or a photo album. And she went, okay. Then if both of us picked each other, we would meet. And then we would talk. And then the attorney would come in and say, take a break. And then he would say to us, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue? If you said no, either one said no, you just said no. If you both said yes, we continued, and then that's how it worked. How does it work now?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not much different.
Oh, okay.
It's not a paper notebook anymore. Everybody's, you're not surprised.
I'm just saying, it was a notebook.
It's all electronic.
But you're literally, I was flipping through a photo album with photos and notes.
People are picking each other based on profiles.
Yes.
So we have potential adoptive parent profiles and we have bio parent profiles. There is a little more control in the bio parent world, and I don't really like that word. I like birth mother better. The birth mothers, and I'm not even a big fan of that, the mother, because she is still a mother until we actually, an adoption is accomplished and her rights are terminated, and the mother's ability to do the choosing. There's apps now, there's software, mechanisms for getting them to match together. There's a lot more opportunity because kind of in those days, and which was only a few years ago, people, but those days you were kind of limited geographically, right?
True.
And now you're not. The geographic part of this is gone. It's gone in surrogacy and it's gone in adoption both. You've got a lot more choices. International is difficult, I'll tell you that. So if that's what you're looking at, it's possible, but the United States has made our international surrogacy, our adoptions, very difficult. But the entire United States is your picking zone.
So it doesn't need to be the same state.
No, it does not. We have a lot of interstate adoptions, a significant number of interstate adoptions. Now, you mentioned right at the beginning the open versus closed adoptions. Yeah. And in the old days, and believe me, people, it's not that long ago, even the 80s would be considered the old days for this.
This would be the old days.
Yeah.
I had to make that choice. This
All
was
adoptions were pretty much closed adoptions, which meant they were anonymous, they were closed, there was no further contact with the biological genetic parents, and a lot of people never knew each other. Some never even met in a room. And part of that's because some children, their parents' rights are terminated by like county services, and they're part of the system being adopted. But an open adoption is a continued contact with that genetic parent after the adoption. Now, open adoptions in our world can be anything. They can be a photo every 5 years, a photo once a year, to actual visitation time between them. And that's today the more common, much more common is open adoptions.
So mine was open, but it was as open as we wanted it to be, both sides. So it was very open in the beginning, where we would send cards and letters and pictures, and then eventually it was, we're good. Like he's good. You guys are great. And then eventually, full circle, we ended up all connecting together again. But I can't imagine. I mean, I know, yes, clothes. It's a touchy thing.
It's a touchy subject.
It's a touchy subject. So if you're out there and you're thinking, I'm just going to be real. As the adopted mom, in your mind, you think, what if they want to go back? What if they want to experience it? I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen.
From the adoptive parent, are they going to come steal their child back?
Right, that's what I was trying to say.
Am I getting right?
Right, that's what I was trying. I didn't want to say it like that. Yeah,
well,
but it could happen.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the fear. They're going to interfere with your parental rights. Adoptions are very final. Our states have made them very difficult to overturn. They don't just get overturned. And after 30 days, in most cases, there's no way whatsoever to overturn them. We have, for example, in Nevada, we have a statute surrounding post-adoptive contact agreements. So we enter contracts now for what the arrangement's going to be after the fact. Everybody can offer more. If you offer less, you're potentially in violation of it. We try to not overextend ourselves in those contracts. We try to make them practical. We do that's where lawyers are important. That's where lawyers sit there and look at their clients and go, you don't want a full custody schedule as if you're divorcing these people, right? Where it's ongoing, constant contact. But the psychology shows now that children will do significantly better knowing who their genetic parent was and having some kind of contact. When you lie to them and don't tell them that they were adopted, which is the old days, psychologically, that is not going well for children. It's the same world we're dealing in with egg donation and embryo donation, where donor conceived children who were lied to and weren't told that they were donor conceived harbor a lot of psychological problems because they're mad and they're angry, and they will seek out their genetic donors. The same way adopted children who find out later in life they were adopted will seek out their genetic parents.
Oof. Getting tough here. It's time for a break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation, and here's my quote to end this segment. However motherhood comes to you, it's a miracle. Valerie Harper. So we are continuing to talk about miracles. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. It's About Town Deb, Kim Surratt.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
The timeless story you know and love is now Broadway's #1 holiday hit musical, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical. Catch the Grinch in this heartwarming holiday classic, perfect for the entire family. 100 times better than any bedtime story. Cheers, the New York Times. November 21st through 26th, Pioneer Center. On sale at pioneercenter.com or the Pioneer Center box office. Catch the Grinch live for the holidays.
Welcome back. It's Debbie McCarthy, About Town Deb, Kim Surratt. We're so happy to be here, even though we're kind of getting a little serious, which is sometimes tough, but we have to realize that life isn't always a bowl of cherries, as they say in, what's that movie? Life isn't a bowl of cherries. I don't know.
I don't know. Don't ask me.
There's a movie out there. I don't watch a lot of movies, but I'm just saying that we are here to be real and be honest with you. And I know that for many, 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 many years, I had infertility issues, many years. So I understand what it feels like when you're listening out there and you're like, that's me. It was me. It is me. I went through it, and I did choose the adoption. That was my path. I probably couldn't have done the surrogacy because My eggs were weird ways, things weren't working, so that probably wouldn't have worked for me. But for me, being adopted, even though at 6.5, I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to give a child a home. And I was blessed that I was able to adopt an infant, but my first one didn't go through. So sometimes you're hesitant, like, do I even take this process? What if they change their mind? How often does that happen?
Well, one simple search on the internet about the detriments of adoption and the things you're going to run across are you tried to terminate one of the parents' rights and it failed. The court upheld their rights, or the genetic parent did not sign a consent, which is again to terminate their rights. And it is the part of adoption that makes it very difficult. Now, let me clarify though. It is the part of adoption that makes it very difficult to adopt a newborn child.
A newborn.
Mm-hmm. It is not the part that is difficult to adopt per se from foster care. Now, those are two different things. Now, sometimes in foster care, the children's parents, their rights have not been terminated yet, and you're doing foster to adopt, then there's the risk that the court will uphold the genetic parent's rights and the child will stay with their actual parents, and you won't be able to adopt. That fear of having a child in your home and developing a bond to have the adoption fail is one of them. 2, you get all excited, you follow the journey of a pregnancy of a woman, and in Nevada, it's different in every state, but in Nevada, she has 72 hours to sign the consent after she gives birth. Why? It's a good reason. It's a very good legal reason.
Yeah.
Because we want her to see that child and decide if adoption's still right for her. It's not just about the potential adoptive parents and adoption being right for them. It needs to be right for both sides. And if it's not right for her and she wants to continue to raise her child, or the father wants to raise their child, then by all means, they should.
I agree.
Now, there are instances, like I was talking about in foster care, where they shouldn't. And that's where the counties and the state are terminating their parental rights because they're not healthy parents for a child. They're either, it's drugs or whatever it might be, abuse and neglect. But, there are lots of children whose parents' rights have already been terminated who need somebody to adopt them.
We're going to go somewhere, and I know you're okay with this because it's 2 of our really good friends, Sean and Anton.
Mm-hmm. You
were there for them. We all were there for them. And it's been, how many years has it been since they adopted 3 children from foster
It's been
care?
a lot of years now.
Been a lot of years.
And I only get to talk about it because they talk about me being their lawyer.
No,
Otherwise
it's okay.
It's confidential.
No, that's not. No, what I'm saying is,
but they do. Yeah,
I already know it's okay. That's why I'm saying it, because we're all friends, and you share. We both share this story, and I watch them now, where they were when they were welcomed into their new home with Sean and Anton. They are now in New Zealand. They are thriving. They are dancers and musicians, and they're so smart, and they're in private schools, and they're just like
on the billboards for their schools advertising.
Now, think about where they would have been if Sean and Anton didn't say, "I'm ready. We are ready to start a family, and we want you to be our family."
And accept all 3 siblings.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. And there are a lot of sibling groups that need to be adopted.
So how often does that happen?
In our system, we try extremely hard to never, ever separate siblings. Sometimes it's healthy for them. There are other abuse and neglect reasons why. But how often does what happen?
How often do the siblings get to be together?
A majority of the time, I would say,
good.
Because we work so hard at it.
To make that happen.
As a state, as a policy, yes. In the past, I think it was, and we're back, 80s, all that type of stuff. It was much more common for our siblings to be divided, but not now.
I'm so happy.
The judges don't want it. The lawyers don't want it. The state policy doesn't want it. We have statutes to help protect it, but we can't always get them all adopted. It doesn't always work that way.
You're out there, you're thinking, I'm ready for a family. I don't know if I want an infant. I don't know whether that's what I'm ready for. If you have enough love in your heart to take a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, I was 6.5. It's never too late. A 16-year-old. You think about the children that are out there today, and they're in an environment where they're not feeling the love. Their mom and dad want to do that. They want to love them. The cycle needs to be broken. It's like, I feel like it's the cycle that goes. And if a mom and a dad, or a dad and a dad, or a mom and mom, or just a single dad, a single mom says, I choose you, you choose me, and you become a family, I feel like it's one child that has a chance to blossom and grow. I mean.
Yeah, but you need to be ready. And I will be, I say this all the time. My job's Armageddon. I'm a lawyer.
I know.
I have to tell you the worst case scenarios. It's not for everybody. And there are children that are very sick within our system.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah, that
have some serious mental health conditions, that have reactive attachment disorder, and which is it from being abandoned or being abused and neglected, and have a lot of conditions. And it's not for everybody. And I don't really want anybody adopting those children. I have lots of cases where I can't just reverse an adoption. I cannot make it go back in time. You are a parent after that, no matter how much help that child needs. And sometimes our society has broken a lot of these children, and the circumstances of their youth have broken them. And if you don't really have the tools for it, then that's what we look at different options. That's why we look at different options. And you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to find out if they tell you the child has reactive attachment disorder. Just as another example, again, research the daylights out of it. You need to know a lot.
know what it's about.
You don't need to be in a situation where this child needs to find yet another family.
Totally agree with that. Let's go on a positive note.
Yep.
Can you share a touching adoption story that has personally moved you during your career with family law and adoption?
Yes. So I also do other cases for the county. We call them, we're advocates for the child. So a lot of times we're brought in as their attorney through their dependency case, or their abuse and neglect case. And most of the time, all the time, I do those as a volunteer. And I had this young lady, her name's Daisy, and she was the cutest, curly-haired, red-haired Spitfire young lady you've ever met in your entire life. And her aunt was adopting her. And I went all the way through her abuse and neglect cases. I represented her in each of those with her parents being present and everything else, and then was able to get to do the adoption. Family can help family, and family adoptions are just as important. They're just another element. And in society, that is where a lot of these children find refuge, is aunts, uncles, grandparents, extended family willing to adopt. And there are shortcuts for those adoptions. So don't rule them out.
We're going to wrap up this segment. We're going to come back. We're going to continue the conversation. It's About Town Deb, Kim Surratt. We'll be right back.
In a world where most of us don't often think about what it means to be in an emergency, there's one thing that's certain. At St. Mary's, we're grateful for our fellow emergency medical service responders who do. And although we're not firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, or police officers, the care we provide begins with them. And at St. Mary's, we appreciate you, helping us to offer the lowest ER wait times in the area. We thank you for partnering and providing compassionate care day and night. From St. Mary's, we thank you for all that you do.
Welcome back. It's About Town Deb, Debbie McCarthy, Kim Surratt. Whew, we are getting deep here. I love it, though.
We do have our drinks.
We do.
I mean, I'll throw that out there.
What? Kelly Mojo.
Kelly Mojo.
So
Nello. Yeah.
We love you, Nello.
We love you, Nello.
So tell us a little bit about Kelly Mojo, because it kind of goes, you're in Basque country. Tell us a little bit about that. We need to breathe.
This is Cowgirl Kim coming out.
Here we go. Let's do it.
The Basque the Bascos in Nevada have a drink. Well, it's not just Nevada, but the Bascos have a drink they call Cali Mocho.
But you say Bascos. For people who don't know what a Basco is.
For the Basque region between France and Spain.
There you
So
go.
the state of Nevada has a significant number of them because we had a senator that gave land grants. And so we had a major influx in population of the Basques in Nevada. They drink a drink which really started in the 70s called Cali Mocho, which is Mocho.
Cho.
And it's spelled K-A, I don't know, don't ask hard. Mocho. And it is technically red table wine mixed with Coca-Cola. And it really, it's really not something I ever ordered. I don't like it. But this is Nello's take on Cali Mochos called Cali Mojo.
And he came
Cali
to you.
being California, C-A-L-I, Cali.
Yeah, and when Nello created this, we had you over, you and Jim, and he said, Kim,
what do you think?
Try.
And
What do
I
you
tried
think?
it, and I said, this tastes like a Cali Mocho, but better. And he
But
went, what do you
better.
mean? How do you know that? So it is good wine, not cruddy,
Tempranillo.
not
Good
cruddy table,
Tempranillo.
good
Good
Tempranillo, mixed with wonderful spices and flavors,
Ginger
not,
and vanilla.
not junk Coca-Cola in it. And it is refreshing and amazing, and everybody's always shocked when they try it.
I know, they have no idea.
They have no idea.
So we're very grateful to have Nello. Thank you for being a friend of Deb for so many years and being a part of the show. And when like I said, I knew Kim was coming today, and I know she loves it, so that's why we have it. We'd have it every day, but Kim's like, I want the mojo. So anyway, I just wanted to lighten it up a little bit before we go a little bit deeper. I'm just going to let you take it from here because I'm like overwhelmed.
Okay. So I think the big picture here is you want to do adoption or you want to do surrogacy. You want to do family formation. You want to have a child. Let's get you there. Let's figure out where you need to go.
How do we go?
A lot of people come in through attorneys and sit down with an attorney and find out all the options. Some people start with their fertility doctor who will start talking to them about the surrogacy options, etc. If you've already been through fertility treatment, that's where you're going to get a lot of your information. If you're starting from scratch and adoption's your choice, it's not always because of infertility. Sometimes it's a choice to adopt. Sometimes it's, our same gender couples.
Right.
And this is their option, although they also have the surrogacy option. My gay men use surrogacy like crazy. But if adoption's what you're looking at, then your next step is go, all right, should I interview some private adoption agencies? And you should simultaneously be looking at the possibility of the foster care system and decide what's right for you. One is going to be right, one is going to be wrong. Some people do both paths simultaneously, to be honest, because it can take so long to get an infant, but they do want to foster to adopt. It can take just as long for foster to adopt because, like I said, parents get reunited, they rehab, they're doing good.
They should go back.
They go back to their parents. But if you just go online, wherever you are that you're watching this, you may not be Nevada because Debbie's got her following in California and everywhere else. Just go to your county websites or state agencies, and they will have adoption. They all have a page on it. They have where you start. There's certain things you have to do that are the bare bone basics to adopt. And if it's not a family adoption, you're going to be doing a home study. You might as well start some of those steps and you can kind of get that background. But research,
Well,
read.
we started out at the time in Nebraska. Well, first Burbank, then to Nebraska, and I had an infertility doctor, and we decided let's do the foster care route. So we at least got the training and did that, and it was really good for us to have that. It was in our back pocket. And then when we went to the adoption route, we already had gone through all the schools, the training, and had home studies. And I think the home study is so important. Because I mean, I was really mind you, I was very nervous. Because my home study came up before we were ready, because it just happened quickly. And I was so nervous, like, is my house okay? Is everything clean? It's really not, I mean, it is about that. But I think it's about you as a couple. It's about
It was
We
making
did-
sure you're not a hoarder with
your
drug paraphernalia on
Yeah.
the table. I always tell my clients, chill. Are you that? No.
No, then you're fine.
Then relax.
But
no,
you
I
still-
want to know your skeletons in your
But
closet.
it's still
Let me help
scary.
you navigate
It's still
that.
scary.
But yeah.
But it's nice to have. I did not have an attorney. Well, we did, but not like you, where they said, let me help you navigate it. It would have been, it's nice to have somebody that has gone through it with many, many families to say, don't be afraid of this. This is, tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Tell me the truth,
me
because
the
it's going to
truth.
come out. So tell me the truth. But
Most of it can be navigated.
Yes.
Most of it's not a big deal. And most of it is just you're more worried and freaked out about it
You
than
are.
anybody else.
yeah, you want everything perfect.
You want everything perfect.
But-
if you want to learn about surrogacy at the same time, learn about it. You don't have a home study in that department, depending on what state you're in. Please, if you're watching this, be careful. Every state's different. But for the most part, you're not having a home study. You don't have somebody to tell you, no, you can't be a parent. What you may have is failed IVF, in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer procedures where the pregnancy doesn't take place. But mind you, if you've had fertility problems, the upside of that is this is a controlled environment with a surrogate who's medically screened for the best uterus you could possibly get. And the genetics and everything was pre-tested. And we're talking about a happy, happy environment
Right.
versus the fertility stuff you've been through. And so, and that might be your option. But a lot of people kind of take a simultaneous path till they figure out which one's right for them.
and that's okay.
It's research.
It's all about that. And that's why we're here today.
And soul searching, and don't be afraid of mental health professionals. If you're really struggling with the choice, we have mental health professionals that can help you with that choice, that can help you with what is your hitch with looking at an adoption. And it may be your struggle with infertility just told you, I've got to succeed on my genetics somehow because I'm so frustrated. Well, we've got great professionals to help with all of that.
Which is really important. Because the whole process, guys, even thinking, am I ready to do this? Am I
It's
ready?
teamwork.
It's teamwork. And it's really important that you do your research and you have somebody like a Kim Surratt on your side to say, I'm ready. What do I do? What's my first step? And then each step of the way, you can get curveballs. I mean, I'm sure it's not perfect. Have you had an experience where you thought everything was going great and then you get turned around and then...
We've had lots of failed stories.
I mean, I don't want to dwell on failed stories, but I know that
No.
it happens. But
It happens, and it probably happens more often in adoption than it happens in surrogacy, to be blunt, which is why people often will choose that, even though it's more expensive. But lots of failed stories. It's too negative. There are obstacles. It isn't always easy. There's bio parents changing their minds. There's the children having too many mental health issues. There's just attempt after attempt after attempt to be the person chosen, and you're not by the genetic parents. So there's a lot, but there's so many success stories compared to that.
so share a success. We have 1 minute before we finish this segment. Share a positive. Let's end on a positive note
And on a positive note,
for this segment.
I have so many clients, and this isn't one specific story, but so many that will adopt one child. They were only going to adopt one. And then, a couple years go by and their sibling comes up.
Oh, yes.
And because the genetic parents went and had another child. And so they end up adopting the next sibling. And then next thing you know, I've got clients with 4 kids in their home. They never planned on having more than
Are
one
you
child.
serious?
Yes, but they're so successful because the siblings are together and it's amazing and it's wonderful. And it's not the Sean and Anton all 3 at one time story, but it's the unexpected, it just keeps happening thing. And it's good though. It's good. I mean,
I love it. I do know somebody from my church who did the same thing. They adopted a little boy, and then all of a sudden there was a little girl, and now they're siblings with this beautiful home.
And so many of these families, honestly, we talked about the open versus closed. There are so many open adoption success stories where genetic parents are still involved. I have a family who the genetic mom comes to every holiday, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, everything with the adoptive parents and her child, her genetic child, and their adopted child. It's one family unit. It's a success story, and it happens. And just like your story, your mom did not have to be excluded, was not excluded.
I was just going to say that. She's still a part of my life.
And she's still part of your
She
life.
was at Christmas,
and an
my
important
birthdays.
part of your life. And I think that's the most critical thing to keep in mind with adoption. They're not all evil. Not all genetic parents are evil by any means at all. And most of them never were evil. They just had life circumstances that led them down a different path.
So we're going to finish with a quote. We'll come back. And here we go. Here's my quote. Not my quote, a quote. They may not have my eyes. They may not have my smile. But they have my heart. Unknown. We'll be right back. Deb and Kim. Welcome back to the final segment. It goes by so fast. It's Deb and Kim. Oh my God, Dream Pilot Films. We're here. Whew.
I know.
I don't even know what to say.
I was trying to think of the first time you and I did an adoption radio program.
That was a long time ago.
I think it was like,
It was probably
2010-ish.
Yeah, it was probably then. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, because we're keeping it real, I couldn't even speak without stuttering. Kim would be like, "It's okay, I got you."
Because I can't quit talking or what? No.
And what's cool about today, in between this show and the last show, I was on the phone with my mom, Grandma B, and she said to me, "You're where you need to be right now. You need to be on this set. You need to be sharing stories. This is where you need to be." And then Kim, not knowing she said that, just said, one of our first shows was the adoption show, and now here I am talking adoption, and I am spending my mom, Grandma B, birth mom, being there for her last days. And I was there for Terry and Tony for their last days. And if this family had not have been formed, nobody would have had anybody for their last days. So for me, it's more about connecting people and connecting hearts. And whether it's through surrogacy, through adoption, please know that there's a child out there who's wanting to be loved and wanting to be believed in. And if you're that person who says, "I love you, I believe in you, and I'm going to be your person," contact Kim. Go to, what's some other resources they can go to?
Oh, there's a lot of resources.
I mean, just give us some basic ones. So if you were to Google, no matter where you are, what would you Google?
The Academy of Adoption and Assisted Reproduction Attorneys is one. There's a million, like I said, adoption resources with every county, with every state, etc. If it's on the infertility end and you're struggling with that, there's organizations like Resolve, which is infertility awareness organization. And honestly, each of those resources, even the fertility resources, have information regarding all your options for family planning and family formation. I always just say the desire to be a parent is very primal. It's, COVID couldn't even slow it down, for goodness sakes, because once you're on that mission, you're on that mission. So be careful with resources, though, that are out of date, because laws change in states, and that is another key reason to make phone calls and actually talk to people about what the current circumstances are.
So tell us your website to get a hold of Kim, who I personally can say she's my gal.
It's easy, lawyersforfamilies.com.
Lawyersforfamilies.com. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, this show is, the last 2 shows are dedicated to my mom. And I'm going to read a quote, and then I'm going to finish it off with my thank yous. But let's get the quote in first. Here we go. Family, where love connects generations and we care for each other in the circle of life. I feel like one of my circles is getting close to completing, but it'll never complete because I'll keep going and going. But I wouldn't be able to even do this without Kim, Surratt Law Practice, without Dream Pilot Films, without Cali Mojo, Nello Olivo, Friends of Deb, Caliber Hair and Makeup, Dorinda's Chocolate, Labels, Soak Spa, Digiprint, and of course, Grandma B. And I did write something for you, Grandma B. Well, it's kind of for Papa too. So I'm going to end with this. Once I tell you thank you, I love you, my friend.
I love you.
And we are here for you. No matter what stage you're at, becoming a family or having a child that you just need someone to love for you at the moment. You will always love them forever in your heart, like Grandma B. So here's kind of what I was thinking. So actually this show was titled Hearts United, Stories of Love, Hope, and Adoption. I would like to end this show with, in the tapestry of our lives, I was blessed to have Brenda Foster, my mom, who gave the gift of a child to Terry and Tony, my adoptive parents. Our family is a story like an hourglass, where time has brought us all together. Terry and Tony were there for my mom and for me when we needed them year after year after year. I found myself at their side, Terry and Tony's, during their final days. I'll always remember Papa's last words. Take care of your mom, Brenda. How cool is that, dang it? He's thinking about her like he loved us both so much. His last words were, take care of your mom, Brenda. Today, it's my turn to fulfill that wish as I take care of my mom, Brenda, who is preparing to join Terry and Tony. Together, they will watch over me, myself, and my boys, Josh and Joey. So the circle of life and support continues, binding our family across generations. So we're here for you. We're here for your families. Please reach out to Kim, to myself. Share your story. We want to be the glue that binds us all together, as together we are one heart. See you next week.